Good morning to students. Let us go to new topic, that is difference between PERT and CPM under unit 4 lesson number 8. Before going to know the distinguish between PERT and CPM, first of all we should know a brief meaning regarding to two aspects, that is PERT and CPM. Now, what is the meaning of a PET? It is a method or one of the technique in network analysis which can be used to determine the total tasks, how many which will goes to involved in total project work. That is, it helps to the total project work was broken down into defined and specific tasks or milestones. Each and every milestone is consisting of a time. That means making a timeline for completion of each and every task. That is, it is the method of analyzing the tasks involved in completing a given project, especially the time needed to complete each task and to identify the minimum time needed to complete the total project. It incorporates uncertainty by making it possible to schedule a project. That means certainty and uncertainty can be identified by the PET. Let us go to meaning of a critical path method. It is one of the technique in network analysis which can be used planning, maintaining and controlling of the total project time duration. It is a activity oriented. That is, CPM is an algorithm for planning, managing and analyzing the time of a project. The step-by-step CPM system helps to identify critical and non-critical tasks from projects start to completion and prevents temporary risks. Finding the largest duration determines the total duration of the project. That means critical and non-critical tasks or paths are identified by the critical path. The largest path of the given project work can be identified by the CPM method. So it is an algorithm consisting of so many aspects. Aspects in the sense so many events and events which can be connected by activity. Then you will goes to obtain a defined network pattern for completion of the project work. Let us go to difference between PERT and CPM, which can be studied or discussed with side readings. PET. First side reading is probabilistic model. That means PET is a probabilistic model which is consisting of planning, organizing and scheduling and coordination of the activities. That means parallel activities are identified by the PET, which is representing least and largest duration which can be maintained by the parallel activities. That is, PET is a probabilistic model, involves planning, scheduling, organizing, coordinating and controlling uncertainties activities take place. The technique studies and represents the task undertaken to complete the project, to identify the least time for completing a task and the minimum time required to complete the whole project. It is aimed to reduce the time and cost of the project by probabilistic process. That means probability can be used in PET, which can be useful to reduce the project cost and time, which can also useful to establishment and apply the same rate of probability completion rate in another project also. This is a probabilistic model which can be focused on minimum and least time to completion of the each and every task. While at the same time, CPM is a deterministic model. That means all activities take place. It is pursued that each and every activity is having its own length. That means deterministic of the largest path which can be identified by the CPM method. That is CPM deterministic model in which planning, scheduling, organizing, coordinating and controlling of all defined activities take place. It is pursued that in this model the activity time is specified and fixed. It is used to calculate the quickest and latest start time for each task. The process differentialities, the critical and non-critical activities to be reduced the time and avoid the sequence generation in the process. That means PEPT is a probabilistic model consisting of its probability in a statistics. That means application of binomial theorem. While the CPM method, it is only a deterministic model, only applied a practicality of experience and knowledge of the persons. Finally, it is a deterministic model consisting of process differentialities and risk and complexities can be identified by the CPM. Let us go to second approach. Second difference, that is approach. PECT is a event oriented approach. That means at event each and every task time to be calculated, that is earliest starting time and latest starting time. Both are very much useful to know the progress of the project. That is, while the PECT technique is event oriented, that is the PECT network chart is constructed based on the events of the project at hand. In PECT, the project is segregated into events and activities. After discovering a proper sequence, the network is built. It is then the time for each task is calculated and the path is regulated. That is, the central idea of PECT is it is approach for events and activities are assembled together and discovered together to maintain a proper sequence of the network diagram with reference to time-based analysis. While at the same time, CPM is a activity oriented. That means it is always focused on duration between the two events. For example, first event and second event. First task and second task. How much duration to be required to completion of a one task? This is a central idea regarding to CPM method. This is completely based on cost and time to be taken for start and end of the project. Total cost can also ascertained with reference to largest path in a project total network. That is, while the CPM is an activity oriented technique towards the determination of cost and time to be taken from the start till the end of the project, a CPM chart network is developed based on jobs that make up the whole project. The process differentialities, the critical and non-critical activities to be reduced the time and avoid the sequence generation in the process. So here CPM is a chart which can be developed for making of a whole project into various separate activities. That means time schedule to be made by the CPM method. Finally, a approach with respect to PECT is constructed based, while at the same time CPM is a determination based. That means the total project work as analyzed from starting to end with reference to time based. That is the reason it is a activity based. PECT is a event oriented based. Completely a sequence is developed by the PECT. The next difference between the PECT and CPM is time estimations. During the PECT technique, it is only a 3 times time estimations. 3 times are optimistic time, most likely time and pessimistic time. These times are very much useful to know the what is the expected time to finishing of a one activity. This is a fundamental concept to determine the each and every task duration. That is, PET is a technique of planning and controlling of time. There are three times estimations in PET, that is optimistic time, most likely time, pessimistic time. The PET technique is an event based time estimation technique for projects. Those activities are unpredictable and non-repetitive. That means here optimistic. That means all the project environment is favorable to us. That means within a short period the project work to be completed. Most likely means it is a favorable or unfavorable. That means medium range. May be possible or may not be possible. Next, pessimistic time means totally unfavorable. There is no any favorable or comfort project environment. On the other hand, the CPM method is controlling of cost and time. It is the one-time time estimation. That means to know the each activity time at once. To determine the total largest path or largest duration of the project, it is also only once. So like that, there is no any multiple time estimations for each activity. On the basis of this reason, this is a one-time estimation of the CPM method, which is very much used to know the cost and time relationship. That means how much time to be required and how much cost to be related to the time required or time completed. That is, unlike CPM, this is the method of controlling cost and time. On the other hand, there is only one time estimation. On the other hand, the CPM technique is an activity-based time and cost estimation technique for projects whose activities are predictable and repetitive. That means those are repetitive and which is very much useful for both the activities. Activities are predictable and repetitive nature also. The fourth difference is statisticality. That means what is the statistical subject implementation in both PET and CPM method. First, we will go to discuss statisticality in PET. There is a statistical planning and controlling of total project activities. Here we are using probability and binomial expansion models. That is, it is a useful project management tool for statistically planning and controlling the timeline of project. In fact, the emphasis is on the start and completion of events and not activities. The activities that occurs between events not to be specified. That means here all activities, events are taken into consideration and concentration to completion of a project work. That means it is totally events based. So events and events variation are established with reference to statistical methods. While at the same time, CPM is non-statistically networks are activity based and they represented through arrowed lines, while the events are represented with circles. The activities can be linked in a logical sequence when the time assigned to each activity is carefully associated with its cost. That means here, this is a non-statistical network. That means the activities times are estimated by experience and knowledge of the peoples, sometimes with a logical sequence. So here there is no any systematic statistical applications while executing the and sequence of activities. Here cost is associated with reference to time. How much time to be required and how much cost to be incurred. How to minimize both uncertainties. The first difference is terminology uses. What terminology uses in PET and what terminology uses in CPM. In the PET, we are using the terminology of event, slack, and diagrams, where slack is a time delay at an event. That means sometimes the starting and ending of task to be delayed due to many reasons, natural and non-natural reasons, academic and non-academic reasons, is known as a slack. That means time delay at an event is called slack. And a diagram to be prepared with reference to nodes and as well as connected by activities denoted by arrow. That is, network diagrams, event slacks are used. PET offers several estimations for determining the time of completion of given projects. That means time analysis. These probabilistic models also control all the activities involved for a project to be completed at a lower cost and faster rate. It is research based. That means PET is research based to identify the total rate of project cost and as well as a time to be required. That means uncertainties to be identified, risk to be identified. Accordingly, the network diagram to be formulated in PET technique. While at the same time, CPM is a terminology which can be used as arrow diagrams, activities, floats, etc. Arrow diagram means it is a symbol to determine arrows for each and every activity. Now float. Float is a time delay at an activity. Due to many reasons, the estimated time is not enough to complete of a task. In such a situation, there is a variance between estimated time and actual time. Here, possible float and non-possible float. That means negative float and as well as the positive float. That is, in CPM method, arrow diagrams, activities, floats are used. CPM provides an estimate that relates to the cost, amount of time available for completing the project. PM takes care of activities that are non-research based, such as projects dealing with shipbuilding, civil construction, etc. That means here it is a non-research based. That means it is most probably used in a construction field, building a construction. That means only one word, civil construction area, the CPM method is more suitable. The next reference, activities nature. In PET method, the activities are specified between events and all activities occurs are totally defined. PET offer several estimations, completion of a given project. All the activities involved in a project to be completed at a lower cost and faster rate. That means here how to reduce the project duration is also one of the objective of PET with reference to minimization of time, reduce the time. Then it is a link between the lower cost and speed rate of project completion or activity completion. This is having a time estimation technique. That means how much normal time to be allotted to each activity can be determined. Already we know with the help of the time based components, that is known as optimistic time, most likely time and pessimistic time. While at the same time CPM is a method which can be used total activities with respect to time duration. That means how much time is available for completion of a one task and as well as the total project work. It is a project based construction. That means here there is no any logical sequence with reference to event and completion. It is only relating to time duration and time schedule to completion of a one task, maybe in a favorable time or unfavorable time. That is, already we know CPM is a deterministic tool which provides an estimation that relates to the cost amount of time available for completion of a project. CPM developed as a project based on construction. It is always predictable activities. CPM is a predictable activities. PACT is a predictable events. That means how many events are involved in the total project work is the one of the concentrative area of PACT. While at the same time, CPM is always predictable activities. That means how many activities are involved in the total network projects, including dummy activities. The next difference is nature of cost. While performing the PACT method, cost is directly associated with the time. That means the activities and events are interrelated with reference to cost. That means reduce the cost with reference to reduce the time. That means time and price are not related in any of impact. It is only relating to the cost oriented, that means total investment in project work. Particularly, PACT is having a cost base with reference to time. That is, cost is directly with the time. The activities that occurs between events and time. Here, price are not relating to any of PACT event. In current times, PACT has been extending its functionality in this direction. Given this, the dividing lines between PACT and CPM is fading out gradually. That means PACT and CPM is dividing with reference to PACT is a cost is directly associated with the time. That is the central point while studying of the PACT. While at the same time, in CPM method, cost is indirectly associated. That means cost is not directly associated with the time. That is, optimum time and cost relation is taken into consideration. Trade-off between cost and time. That means only relation has taken into consideration between the cost and time. How much time is there? How much cost to be incurred? This is only interdependency relation. It is only indirectly associated. Cost is indirectly associated with time. That means the CPM method can use to reduce the or trade-off between the cost and time relation. That is, in CPM method, cost is not directly associated with the time. The objective pertains to the development of a specific and optimum time cost relation. A trade-off between cost and time. It helps project planners to make decisions to which aspect of specific project are to be reduced or increased. That is, trade-off are needed. That means totally based on CPM by trade-off between cost and time. The next difference between PACT and CPM is controlling factor. Time is controlling factor in PACT. That means the total time was selected with reference to a specific time components. Optimistic time, most likely time and pessimistic time. A specific defined formula is used to determine the time. Time is controlling factor. That is, estimated time equal to most likely time plus 4 times of most likely time and optimistic time by 6. This is a formula which can be used to determine the time. Here, time is a central concept. That is, time is controlling factor. CPM is but choosing the path in a project, but will be help in calculating the least amount of time that is required to complete a task with the least amount of wastage. While at the PACT, CPM method to be overcome with respect to industry starting from defense, construction, software and aerospace. This is a controlling factor. While at the same time, at CPM method, cost is the controlling factor. The total program or events completed with reference to interrelated of dependency relation between the cost. That means how much cost to be incurred, how much cost to be established to completion of each project is the main advantage. That is, cost is the controlling factor in CPM. This program helps to understand the technique of a study to taken to complete a project. Identify the least and the minimum time is taken to complete the whole project. CPM is mainly used in projects to determine critical as well as non-critical tasks that will help in preventing conflicts and reduce the bottlenecks. Yes, mainly used to determine the critical path. In such situation, we are ready to prevent the conflicts, disputes or variations, and also reduce the bottlenecks in appropriate completion of a activity or a task. That is, PACT is a interlink activity. That is, critical path method CPM has been used mainly industries, while at the PACT it is using in research oriented projects. The next difference between PACT and CPM is suitability. PACT is very much popular in applicable field, that means research field, that means innovative areas, that means which can be used to estimate the time with reference to the probabilistic model. That means a probability rate can be calculated which can be useful anywhere to maintaining a other project, to executing a other project. That is, it is does not suitable between critical and non-critical activities. It is only time oriented. PACT is a popular project management technique that is applicable when the time required finishing a project is at certain. That means not certain, at certain, which will be goes to taken into consideration. These study taken to complete a project, identify the least and the minimum time is taken to complete the whole project. That is, it is suitable for application side. That means research side. That means where the departments are having more innovative and as well as creative field. While at the same time, CPM is suitable problems in industrial settings. That means it is suitable to construction. It is suitable to only buildings and as well as a predictable activities and cost nature. That is, it can be suitable in problems in industrial settings. CPM is suitable with application of a statistical algorithm which has a certain start and end times for a project. Highly recommended for projects those activities are predictable. For example, construction of house. CPM involves a construction project aligned towards the activities. So, suitability of PACT is in a application side, that means research and innovative side, while at CPM is applicable in predictable cost projects side, that is construction side. The next differences between PACT and CPM is uses. PACT is very much using technique with reference to identification of certain and uncertain areas. It is a very much uses. Certain and uncertain areas can be identified by the application of PACT. That is, it is used to find completion of a particular event within a specified time. PACT is an important technique in the sense that it helps in identifying critical areas which might undermine faster completion of the work, and more importantly, it provides a framework to determine how resources can be transferred from one job to another. That means here the central uses of the PACT is it is a event oriented and calculate the how many events are involved in the total project with reference to certainty and uncertainty of time. While at the same time, CPM method is very much uses to identifying of the sequence of paths. That means identify the critical path in the project work, the largest path in the project work, which is very much useful to know the variations at each and every task, starting and completion. That is, CPM is using to activity time, which is a starting point to its completion of a task. Critical path method help to identify the sequence of crucial and interdependent steps that comprise a work plan from start to finish. It also identifies non-critical tasks. It facilitates to completion of some tasks in a project is dependent on the completion of other tasks. That means one task will be goes to depending on others, which can be making a interdependency effect. Thank you.